Hey, welcome back. We're back in Timberborn in our Whitepaw colony. And today, well, I went around and took a look, and I think I've got the wrong idea here. Originally, I was going to build most of the main city in this indentation here. However, since the Whitepaws can be somewhat troublesome when it comes to irrigation and building up land, and well, not as much of removing land, but just problems in general, what I'm going to do is use this ridge around here to support a lot of irrigation so we don't have to worry too much about this river, and then we can keep our beavers out of it. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to come back over here and use this little area. We're going to take that out of there, and we'll remove these. There we go. And let's go ahead. We'll get the irrigation that we want in here. We're going to use the Lido. There we go. And in there, we're going to put in our fluid dump. There we go. It gets its own fluid dump. And to hold this in, we're not going to try and fill in this whole thing. That would be crazy. That would be way too much water. So what we're going to do, we're going to use some of the houses around here. And the first one that I want is one of the special pit and ladder lodges, the double door lodge. And we're going to put him in right here. And then on this side, since this is all going to be hopefully green land, we're going to use the special property of the farmhouse and that they work as a levee. So we're going to just close that off real quick. And when they start dumping water in here, that should allow us to keep all of this green. Now, you might wonder why I chose the specific one here since it has no workers in it. Well, if you look, there's a door on the other side, and there is a pass-through lodge, but it requires a lot of stuff I don't have yet, and this will work just as good. So what we're going to do is we're also going to put a river bath in here. If I flip this, look at that. That goes right in there. They can get in, and we'll put this in, so that makes some stairs for them. Let's go ahead. We'll fill that in, and let's go ahead and connect those in. You know what? I'd rather those be there instead. There we go. Once they get these two in, that should put some green in this area, and we'll use that to start the farms, or I guess move the farms. There we go. So that's good. Something else that I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to keep some water in this river, even if it causes problems. The only way we're going to do that is with dams, which are a little bit tougher to use, I think, on the water beavers. They've got sort of these primitive dams that they can use, which I've always found kind of weird. Don't you think the water beavers would have, like, highly advanced dams and not primitive ones? But no, well, maybe that's just me thinking that. Let's go around here, and we'll come all the way down and get the one in here first. And then we're going to have to find other exits of the river. So if we go this way, let's take a look. Nope, this one's a dead end. The water comes from here. So that's part of the river start. But where does it go out? It goes out over here. And does it go out over here as well? No, not there. And then it falls down there, and it does not leave over here. So best place would be is if we could get some here. However, the problem there is that we'd have to have a double-sized dam to use that down there, which we don't quite have yet. And we don't have any science. We don't have any of the tar that we need, so we're going to have to block it off up here. Let's see what we can do there. Let's get one large one and one smaller one. And then we'll go back to the large ones. Can we go? Let's see. If I go from here, Yeah, there we go. That fits right in there. We'll take a road up and around. Now, those do require a little bit of metal, but we're pulling in metal, so we ought to be okay there. We've got all of this in. Let's draw ourselves a nice path so they can get there. Let's undo this one. And we'll undo this one to see if we can get some clay. Let's go ahead. We can prioritize this so they can start filling that up. These guys, oh, they've got 20 logs, so we'll pause them, send them to do something else. There we go. For instance, I'd like to clear a little bit of this out and maybe get some more brambles. So let's put in our nice lumberjack here. Well, we'll put in a whole bunch of them. And then let's say, go ahead. We'll just cut this whole section out. Whatever they can cut out is perfectly fine. And you know what? I don't think we need this fence anymore. It's pretty much full with berries in here. We'll just live with that. These guys, well, there's nobody in there. Let's go down to one, but get somebody in there. And we're gonna need coal. Right now, we're just making these pots. Let's switch that over to coal and get a little bit of coal out of there. But for this, we need scrap metal and coal. So let's start with some storages over here for that. Let's do the medium pile. That will be for scrap metal, and then we'll have coal, and then there's a whole bunch of other ones that we'll get too, like iron and saltpeter. And then I think there's mountain salt as well. There we go. That should handle it. Now, these guys here, they're making as many mushrooms as they possibly can. But if we're going to redo this section to green up all of this in here, we're eventually going to have to move these. So, what I think I'll do, I'll grab this. And let's just put maybe a couple here. And they can get to work on that when they can. How's this doing? Well, look at that. They've got stuff there. Let's get people in here. We'll say that you're the harvester. And we're going to have you plant a bunch of cabbages, because we always need a ton of cabbages right at the start. So we'll do cabbages. Let's do cabbages all the way up to there. And we'll have them come over, plant that. And now, when there's a drought or a bad tide, they should still be able to at least take a bath. Of course, this has already gone to bad water, so we're going to have to do something about that too. What I think we'll do there is we're going to use this other corner. And let's see. Let's get another one of these. There we go. Can you sit up here? Yeah, you can sit there. And we're going to have to move the stairs, I think, over one, which is not a big deal. If it's not perfectly perpendicular to the other stairs, it's okay. They'll live. So then we'll have clay here. And that uses a couple of spaces, but if we build this large enough, we can put wheat in here and use the same pass-through trick that we had to send them through before. So let's see what we can do here. Let's go ahead and say, you know what? I'm going to need a lot of haulers, and haulers are always immensely needed. So we're just going to take these. We're going to build, how about a couple of haulers? How far down do we want to go over here? I feel like here would be a good one. So let's grab another one of the water places, because we're going to need a lot of water. Can I flip that? Yeah, we'll flip that one. And then let's do a couple of farms. Here we go. 2 farms. Can I do one more of these? Yep, let's do one more of those. We'll get 2 more farms. And then we just have to fill in that edge right there. And that should give us a little area that we can plant some rice in. Now, is this going to be enough rice for the whole time? Probably not. But will it get us started on rice? Definitely. We can also move our sunflowers over, because hopefully a lot of this will be green. So we'll do sunflowers all in here. And then we'll even start with the peas. I don't know that we need these anytime soon, but you never know. Maybe there'll be a good reason to have them in there. We'll just get all the peas in there. and they can really start building on this stuff. I'm definitely worried about our water. We seem to be just barely making it through every day, so we're going to toss in a couple more water buildings. These might not be permanent, but if we can get them up and running, at least we can get some more water in here. Not to mention that I could probably use a lot more storage. So what we're going to do there is we're just going to do a little bit of overkill with pit tanks for now. And we'll come down here, and when they make those, we'll set them all for water and hope, just hope, that they will be able to fill all those up before the next drought. Now this does create a little bit of a problem where they have to go all the way around here to get to some of the storage. If we could cut it down by just a little bit, that might actually help us out quite immensely. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of the rope that we have, and we're going to build a suspension bridge, one here and maybe one here, and that should connect us over to the other side, so they can walk right across this, and then they can even walk down here if they need to. But that should be okay. That tree is just in the way. I really should just get rid of that. There we go. That should be fine. There we go. Now we're pulling in more and more water. Hopefully we stay up with what we need. Oh look, they've already moved our cooking tent out. They went ahead and got a lot of this. You know what? We need storage for some of this stuff. So let's bring in some storage. Let's get some warehouses going. This can be for mushrooms. Where's our... There they are. Mushrooms coming in. And what else do you need? Logs and cabbages. So we'll do cabbages. We'll do a pile for logs. There we go. Let's get logs down here. Coming in. This is for cabbages. Coming in. What is this? This is gonna need... what do those need? I think rice and what else? Let's take a look. That is cooking tent. There we go. Rice, salt, water. Okay, so let's grab rice. And then salt and water they'll have to grab from somewhere else. So we'll get those in. Let's see, we don't want anybody in there just because it functions just fine with haulers. So we're just going to use haulers for now and have them kind of multitask on other things. How's this doing? We're still pulling in coal there. Are we still making fasteners? We are still making fasteners. Wonderful. So that's going along. We've got plenty of cabbages coming in, which is good. We'll need all of those. We've got the water that we need, so there's plenty there. They need to work on this. But you know what else we do need? We have got some of this stuff done down here. In fact, look, they've cleared out in front of where we need to put the mines. So let's go ahead and we'll put a mine in there. We'll put one in there. And then let's draw a path around to the mines. I don't know if it's going to stay this way, but again, we'll just change up what we need. If you guys aren't doing anything, go find something else to do. There's plenty of jobs that need done. Here we go. They've got their storage in, so let's go ahead, do that one. You can be coal. You can be iron. You can be that, and you can be for the mountain salt. There you go. We're gonna need mountain salt down here. One of these I think that's for logs, that's for rice. That I think was for the mountain salt, so we'll do that. There we go. That should be good. Now we have a decent amount, we can get up to 350 in the tent itself. However, we could probably store a lot more, and what we need to do there is get some of the special storage, the hand of soup, which I think at one time there was a head to go along with the hand, but I don't know whatever happened to it. Maybe I missed that. Maybe there's an extra mod somewhere. Let me know if that's something that is still out there, or if somebody knows if it's still being worked on. I'm going to unpause these. I don't know if we have the beavers at the moment to take care of those. In fact, kind of looks like we don't, but that's okay. We'll work with what we get. In fact, look, we're finally starting to get some clay. So maybe, just maybe, we'll get some more pots made and we'll get this other cooking tent taken care of. And then we can actually get the hands built. Wouldn't that be nice? There you go. Speaking of which, though, we do need to start thinking about getting into science, which means we need to switch a couple of these. We go to the bad mushrooms there, and we'll go to sawdust next door. If we're going to have bad mushrooms, though, we need a place to store them. So let's put that in. We'll get the brain stimulating mushrooms, I guess they're called. There we go. You know what? You guys aren't doing anything. Let's go there. This is pretty much full. You guys are pretty much done. There we go. I think our poor bad water bucketing post is poisoning some of our beavers, unfortunately. So they're going to have to deal with that. Let's see if we can push the brambles back just a bit. Plus, we'll cut all this down as well. There we go. We'll let them cut what they want. They're starting to pull in more berries, which is good. Our food is kind of fluctuating here and there. So, but we've got plenty of it. We just need to be able to pull it in. That's looking good. We've got more seeds there. Hey, we finally got a couple more of these buildings up. And look, they built our second set of stairs, which means I can go ahead and I want to grab another water containing building. In fact, can I flip that? I might be able to flip that. Flip you there. There we go. That's flipped, and now that should contain a little bit of rice for us. And then we can start removing some of the other buildings, such as these two. Now that we've got 2 of them in there, we've actually got 3 of them in there, so that reallocates them just a little bit around the map. Over here on our Bramble Island, we're starting to win there finally. So I'm going to take and we're going to actually put those in there. These are going to have to go because when this bad tide comes through, I don't want them over there at all. We'll make something to connect them in. Let's see if we can do this, and we will put in platforms about down to here and across. There we go. Do I want there, or do I want over one? You know what? That's fine. We'll leave it the way it is. I like it the way it is. So that's what we're gonna do. We've got plenty of food. Our cooking tent is actually keeping up pretty well on the braised stuff. So now we just need to get our rice going. The first of our sciences came in, and look who's in the library. Yeah, that's right. I've got my own beaver in the game. Kind of nice. And I get to sit in the library and just study all day. Isn't that great? What a wonderful, wonderful little find. We have a bad tide headed in. It's only 1 day, but I'm going to go ahead and delete that path out of there so they're not bathing in that. And look at that. They've actually got a river bath to take baths in. So we should be okay. Did they finish this? They did. Wonderful. That means I can take this out. So there's no real way other than... Nope, I took that out. Other than this, there should be no real way for them to get down in the bad water. So let's go ahead and get the platforms in across here. Now, eventually, we're going to make bridges, but our rope is kind of limited. I did find, though, where you can make the rope. So if you're looking for that, you want to go into food, even though they don't eat it, and you want the florist, and that will let you make the reeds, or the plant fibers, I guess they are, that will let you weave rope. But, of course, they've got to be able to build all of that first. There we go. They've got part of it in there. They're working on some other items, but that should not take too long. We're going to set you as planting. We're going to set this one as rice harvesting. We're going to set you as harvesting for the sunflowers. And you can focus on the green peas, and hopefully they will be happy. There we go. We've got all of our rice in here. We've got our fields planted, and since they're being irrigated, hopefully these can stay growing all the time. They should be far enough away from the bad water that we don't have too much to worry about. Would you look at that? They've started to clear some of this stuff out. We might go ahead and put up some fences here. Just so, let's see, how about here? Yep, that way they can't get out of there. There we go. We'll let them build those. If they build them, great. If they don't, well, that's fine too. But we've got a whole bunch of stuff in progress. So next time we'll finish up these projects, and then we've got probably a project where we need to find some better water pumps, because these are going to probably use a bunch of water. And even though we now have a bunch of storage, we're definitely going to need to pull in more water. So that's what we'll be doing next time. But until then, just want to say thank you very much for stopping by, and hope to see you next time.